Recently my Jetta had a problem. The AC started cycling on and off rapidly, and I noticed the radiator fans weren't running even with the AC on. Eventually the AC stopped working entirely. After some diagnostics, I found the problem. The fuse that provides power for the fan relay was burned out. It even damaged the fuse holder. I recently had to replace the radiator fan because the motor seized up. I'm guessing it overstressed the electrical circuit, which eventually caused damage to the fuse holder. Just to be safe, I'm going to replace the fuse holder and the fan relay. Okay, let's start with the fan relay. It lives underneath the frame rail, directly under the battery. So the battery and the battery tray need to come out. First, let's disconnect the battery terminals. Now we can flip the fuse panel out of the way. Also, the trim piece behind the headlight needs to be removed. That will give us access to the battery hold down. With the battery hold down out of the way, we can pull out the battery. You can see the 4 bolts in the battery tray. They need to come out. Also, there's a 5th bolt that attaches the corner of the air filter box to the battery tray. And finally, the wiring needs to be detached from the battery tray. Just pull up on this plastic piece and it comes loose. Now we can pull out the battery tray. If you look down at the frame rail, you'll see these 2 little bolts. Those bolts hold the fan relay. On a TDI, they'll be right in plain sight. But in a gasoline model, they'll be hidden under some wire loom, so you'll have to move the wire loom out of the way. Then you can reach under the frame rail and pull out the relay. There are 2 electrical plugs attached to the relay. Just push the tabs and pull them off. I needed both hands to do it, so I had to put the camera down. But anyway, here's what the relay looks like. Installing the new relay is basically the reverse of removing it. Next, I'm going to replace the fuse panel on top of the battery. This is where the carnage happened. It looks like somebody set off fireworks in here. Also, look at the damage to the fuse holder. Once again, we're going to disconnect the battery cables. I prefer to disconnect the ground cable first. Next, I'm going to disconnect all the wires that attach to the top of the fuse panel. I noticed that a thin wall socket is needed to fit between the plastic dividers. A thicker wall socket doesn't want to fit. Also, this electrical plug needs to be disconnected. Just squeeze the tab and pull it off. Last but not least, let's disconnect the main power cable from the battery terminal. Just push the fuse panel toward the back of the car and it comes loose. Two things to keep in mind. First of all, make sure the replacement fuse panel has the same fusible links as your old one. The amp ratings are stamped into the links. Also, make sure the main power cable is intact. If you get a fuse panel from the salvage yard and somebody cut that cable, it's a big hassle to replace, because you have to disassemble the fuse panel. Okay, now we can put everything back together. And now the big moment. I'll start the engine and turn on the AC. Let's see if the radiator fans work. Also, the AC works, but you probably can't tell just from watching the video. In any case, the problem is solved. Thanks for watching.